Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentilers teaching you the tips and tricks.
Good noon, all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everybody. So I'm Nikita and I welcome you to this session. Right, so today we are going to talk about how you can ace VARC no matter what the exam. Okay, and yes, there's a typo in the title. It's a short strategy, not a short strategy. So pardon that typo, right? So short strategy to crack VARC and target 100 percentile. That's what we are going to talk about for CAT as well as other MBA exams. Okay. Good noon, Sanil, Kashish. Good afternoon, Shaina, Yash. I welcome you to the session. And yes, let's let the others also join. Hello, Ribal. I see a question mark there. Good noon, Chaya, Bhargavi. Hello, Anand. Good noon. Good afternoon, Tanvi. All right. Noon, Om. Hello. Right. Love these emojis. Hi, Shubham. Good noon. Yukta. Okay. Good noon, Poonam. So what do you think? I mean, how can you target 100 percentile? There must be some things in your mind also, no? Some things that you think are an absolute must in case, you want to score 100 percentile. Yes, tell me. Good afternoon, Pranita, Prashant, Suraj. Hi, mixologist bartender. Interesting name. Right. So, anything that comes to your mind, what all should you do? What should be the starting point, let's say? Yes, starting point in case you want to target 100 percentile, no matter which exam you are taking, which MBA entrance exam you are taking. Yes. So, if you ask me, I would say the first and foremost thing is that you should know the framework of that exam. Something that I have told you in multiple other sessions also. This is not new for you. I think the starting point for any entrance exam is the previous year exams, the pattern of the exam itself, right? It does not begin with, let's say, straight away starting with the concepts. First, you have to know what is asked. Okay, what is the pattern? Right, we never start, in fact, in school, college also, we never start preparing without knowing the syllabus, isn't it? It won't make any sense then. So same is the case for your MBA entrance exams also. In addition, however, to knowing the syllabus, so to say, you also need to know certain other things here, right? Because strategy is of prime importance when it comes to your entrance exams. So what is the time constraint that I have per question? How much time will I get to attempt a question? What are the various question types that are asked? Which of these are my strengths? Okay, which of these are currently my weaknesses that I need to work on? What is the marking scheme? Is there negative marking? If yes, how much? Right? These things should be very clear to you. Okay. Hola, Nandraj. Hello, Prachi. Good noon. Good noon. How to practice for synonyms, antonyms? I will tackle this when we come to vocabulary. Don't worry. Good afternoon, Surbi. So here's a very comprehensive table. I hope I am not hiding it in any manner, right? I am shrinking a bit to the corner so that I don't hide it. So you can see all your major entrance exams in this table. Okay. And here I've tried to write all the major areas in VARC that these exams cover, right? So CAT 2021 asked you RC passages, of course. Type in the answer parajumbles, odd sentence out parajumbles, para summary, right? ZAT 22 had an RC passage, had multiple, I think 4 or 5 RC passages, right? Not one. Similarly, IFT also had RC passages. NMAT RC passages, MHCT RC, TISNET RC. So you can yourself see this. Okay, I am hiding it a little. So just a second, let me just show you the table. All right, so I think now the table will be very clearly visible to you, right? So if you just look at this table, just analyze it, treat it like a DI question, okay? You can see that in CAT you have a specific time allotted for the VARC section, right? In NMAT also a specific time is allotted, but in your other exams there is no specific time that has been allotted, right? There's no sectional time limit, so to say, right? You have to yourself decide your time. Then I've also written what are the total number of questions that are asked, right? What is the time that you should take for VARC approximately when there is no sectional time limit, the areas that are covered, whether there's a negative marking or not. You need to know this for your CAT and non-CAT exams. Without this, starting your preparation does not make sense. And I think a lot of you can identify a lot of common areas across these exams. So yes, tell me, what are the common areas? I'm coming back to the screen. Yes, what are the common areas that you can spot in this table? Common areas that can be spotted in this table. I see. I've already highlighted RC passages. What else is there? Tell me. Good afternoon, Kavya. What are the common areas? I want responses from you. RC passages I already highlighted. What else? You must have seen some vocabulary, right, in various exams. Parajumbles are there. In non-CAT exams also. The only difference is that while in CAT you do not get any options, in all the non-CAT exams you do get options. In the non-CAT exams they are MCQs. They are multiple choice questions. Right? What else? What else? Grammar and vocabulary, that is there. So now you know you roughly have an idea of what all you have to prepare for. And some other areas of verbal logic. You must have seen those also, some other areas like para summary. I call it verbal logic. Some people call it verbal ability, whatever you want to call it. Then in some exams, we have critical reasoning also. Okay, critical reasoning. And then let's call it miscellaneous, all the other areas. So this, so to say, broadly forms the syllabus of your VARC, something that most of you already know. But what you do not realize is that you can gear your preparation according to these areas, right? So RC passage is common across almost all exams except SNAP. That means you have to ace RC passages like anything, because if you take CAT, if you take ZAT, right, and of course you're not going to take just CAT, you're going to take ZAT also. If no matter which exam you take, there are going to be at least 2 RC passages in every exam out there. Okay, at least 2. So it's important that we practice RC passages. This is the learning that I have derived from here. Plus, in case just CAT is not my focus, which I think should not be the case, right? You should not put all your eggs in one basket. In case other exams are also my focus, then I need to work a bit on these areas as well, particularly this, right? I need to work on these areas also. Just RCs won't suffice as such. Though it's a major portion, it won't suffice, right? Now, let's say, is Norman Louis good for a vocabulary boost? Definitely, Paramveer. Definitely, it's a good book. It will add about 1200 to 1400 words to your vocabulary in about 45 days. So yes, it's good, right? Okay, then critical reasoning I've covered in verbal logic. What is critical reasoning? We've had a session on it yesterday itself. Okay, RC hacks and tips. Yes, Paramveer, I'll give those definitely. Okay, I'll come to each area. Don't worry about it. So now this was exam wise, right? This was an exam wise categorization. Now let's just look at CAT for a while, right? Go deep into the pattern. Go deep into the framework. If I look at 2021, the pattern was varied slightly because before this, the total number of questions used to be 76. In CAT 2020, there were 76 questions, but 10 questions were reduced. So fewer questions, right? And as a result, you got slightly more time per question in VARC. In 2020, Your peers had just 1.5 minutes per question in VARC. You got slightly more. Okay, slightly more. Then in 2019 it used to be even more, right? So those people were relatively better off in that sense. So knowing the pattern over the years in depth helps you realize how much time you will have, what are the odds that you will be facing, right? What time do you have in total as opposed to, let's say, what some of your peers in the past had. That is why knowing the framework is very, very important. It tells you what should be your speed, what should be your preparation level, etc. Okay, so now let's say I analyzed all of this in detail, okay, for whichever exam I am preparing. And I realized after, let's say, looking at some of the questions in the previous year papers, I realized that, okay, Parajumbles is not an area where I shine, let's say. So some students, they get demotivated and they won't prepare for Parajumbles at all. They think, okay, we'll leave Parajumbles in the exam, let's not prepare for it at all. However, see, take a macro perspective. It's only CAT that is not giving you options, right? If you're preparing for other exams also, they are going to give you options. So why don't you prepare at least for some MCQ Parajumbles, right? So here is just an analysis that I conducted. You may not go in such depth, okay, but in case you do, it helps you. So let's say I realize Parajumbles is my extreme weakness. I am, and I think doing this for your some of your QA questions will really help you. I have shown this for VARC here. For some of your QA areas, QA topics, such an analysis helps you a lot, right? So let's say across the exams, these many number of questions are asked from this area. This is the amount of time that I roughly get. Okay. Now, these exams don't even carry any negative marking, so to say. Okay. And see, that gives me so much time to actually attempt one question. So knowing this now tells you that there are certain exams where you can comfortably attempt these questions, right? For instance, in MAHCET, do mark something or the other. In TISNET, do mark something or the other. In that, do give the question a shot. So knowing this actually tells me that it may not be as difficult as I am thinking it to be. And sometimes it tells you, oh, itne questions to aate hi nahi hai isme se. Sometimes that may be the result. That not many questions are asked on this, so I need not really worry about it a lot in case I am focusing on ZAT and SNAP only. So please go for an in-depth analysis of the questions that happen to be your weaknesses, of various exams that you intend to take, what are the areas that are asked in them, what is the level of questions. This is what becomes your short strategy to target a 100% time, not even a 99. Okay. All right, so I have some questions. How to do questions in 3 minutes in RCs? Okay, so 3 minutes. Why do you want to attempt them in 3 minutes? That's my question. If there are 6 questions in an RC, let's say 6 questions in an RC passage, then, and if you're talking from an MA at CET angle, you can spend 6 minutes on it. Okay, provided you have saved time in your vocabulary and grammar questions. You can't afford to be slow in all the areas, right? So save some time there and then you can comfortably attempt maximum 1 minute per question in your RC passages. You need not attempt them in 3 minutes. So go by the number of questions that an RC passage asks you. Don't take a general view that I have to finish an RC passage in 3 minutes. That's not a practical view. What if the RC passage is lengthy? What if there are more number of questions, right? Okay. Now, how to solve cloze test and fill in the blanks. So, Poonam, these are vocabulary questions mostly, right? So, how to solve them? You take some questions, okay, of cloze test. So, you will realize that what is it? It is contextual vocabulary. Basically, you have to take the help of the surrounding words. It is not just dependent on what will come in the blank. What will come in the blank is affected by the surrounding words. So, focus on the words that surround your particular blank, right? And then eliminate out of the options. Read as many articles as you can because cloze tests are framed from various articles only. So once you get in, when we start reading, we develop contextual vocabulary automatically. It's a product of reading. So read as much as you can. These are some of the ways to improve in cloze tests and FIVs: solving questions, paying attention to context, eliminating, and lastly reading. Okay, these 4 tips. All right. Okay. Then idioms, I'll talk about idioms, synonyms, antonyms. Vocabulary I will talk about, don't worry. Okay. For MBA CETRC, yes, Bharat, the Hindu is, the articles are of a good level. However, I would suggest that you also read some international articles, because in your previous, if I look at your previous year papers, some of the sources for your RCs have been international sources. So for instance, I've seen an RC passage from the Scientific American in MAHCET, right? So look at some of the e-magazines that are international, some of the newspapers that are international. Okay. In general, the level is an easy level, not a very difficult level. Okay. Then, all right, I'll keep answering your questions and I'll keep covering some slides, right? So, important thing, once you've analyzed all of this, right? My strengths, my weaknesses, the question types that are asked, the areas that I have to prepare for, practice with a schedule. Okay, don't just practice just, let's say, vocabulary for days at end. I have seen some students, they like vocabulary, so they just practice vocabulary, right? They'll just keep on learning new words, they'll just keep on reading novels for days at end and do nothing else. That does not work. You need to have a schedule which is balanced in nature, right? So practice with a schedule, have a calendar, right? And populate that calendar. I'll just demonstrate how to populate that calendar with these areas that we have just talked about. That, okay, every day this is how I'll practice vocabulary, this is how I'll practice grammar, let's say twice or thrice a week. This is these many parajumbles or para summary questions I'll solve in a week, right? So that way, populate your calendar with various areas. The number of questions, the frequency, this will depend on your current level, where you currently stand, right? So important to prepare with a schedule. Just giving you an example here, okay, on how to populate your calendar. So let's talk about CAT RC passages. You know that 16 questions, 4 RC passages are going to be asked in CAT, right? So if I talk about MAHCET, around 14-15 questions again from RC passages. So that means RC passages form a good chunk, isn't it? So keeping that in mind, again, calculate. So for CAT, we have 125 days. For MAHCET, we have less, right? A month, let's say a month. So in these 125 days here, for instance, I practice 2 RCs every day. And for MAHCET also, let's say I practice 2 to 3 RCs every day. Apart from that, I'll also be taking some mocks, some sectionals. So make a schedule. Okay, 2 RCs I'll practice every day. That will give me 250 RCs. Okay, by the time, let's say, CAT happens. Similarly, I'll go for 20 mocks. I think 20 mocks are required. 10 sectionals, let's say, roughly. So 30 from here. Each of them are going to have 4 RCs. Yes. So 120 RCs from here. And if, let's say, you are enrolled with some institute, then there are going to be worksheets also. So you will have class material also. So, at the end, it will result in your practicing approximately 400 RCs for the 4 RCs that you have to actually attempt in the exam. I think that's a good chunk. That's a pretty good number. So prepare a schedule like this, because RCs are important. I am going to practice 2 RCs every day. Then, yes, before I proceed, let me see some of your questions, quite a few here. Coming to for RCs, can we read questions first and then read that much part? So this is a good question. See, for which exams this particularly works? Let me talk about that first. So for IIFT, okay, for MAHCET also, for SNAP, right? For such exams, for your non-CAT exams, where let's say passages are pretty lengthy, but there are a good number of questions that are direct. Similarly, in MAHCET, we do expect a good number of direct questions. SNAP, again the same thing. So where you have more of direct questions, then it makes sense to, yes, read the question stems first. So in such exams, I would advise you that, yes, read the question stems first if it works for you, if you actually retain what you read in question stems, right? And then go to the RC passage. So then when you are reading the RC passage, you remember what you've read in the question stems. The moment that sentence comes or that paragraph comes, your attention will automatically become heightened. You'll become more alert, right? So that's how, yes, reading the question stems for these exams, it works. For an exam like CAT, because we expect majority of inference questions. So for instance, questions like what is the theme of the passage, what can be inferred from the passage, what cannot be inferred from the passage, which of the following would undermine or strengthen the author's central argument. Even if you read these question stems, it will help you in a cursory way that, okay, I have to focus on the main idea. I have to find out the author's central argument. It will not help you with some specific area, let's say, that when I come to this specific area, my attention has to get heightened. Their CAT questions won't, reading CAT question stems first won't help you as much. So I don't read question stems in an exam like CAT or ZAT. I straight away first attack my RC passage, I read it, and then I go to the question. For these exams, definitely I read the question stems first, right? So more of direct questions, then it makes sense to read the question stems first. Hope this makes sense. Which topics are important? So Poonam, the topics that are important for MAHCET VARC, because some of you are asking this. See, RC passages, you can expect 14 to 15 questions, right? Then from grammar, you have sentence correction questions, you have error spotting, and you have FIBs. Okay, sentence correction, error spotting, FIBs. From your this area, vocabulary, you have again different question types. These could be synonym antonyms, direct. Okay, these could be in the form of fill in the blanks, right? And they can take other forms also, for instance, analogy, right? So other forms are also possible. Okay, and parajumbles, definitely. Sometimes, occasionally, you might get critical reasoning also. So this is the syllabus, so to say, when I talk about MAHCET VARC. Okay, in a balanced paper, I expect about 14 to 15 RC questions. Okay, around again 10 to 15 grammar questions, 10 to 15 vocabulary questions, remaining questions from your PJs and critical reasoning. That's what I expect in a balanced paper. Okay, hope this clarifies the query. And I can move to the next slide now. Yes, I'll keep on looking at your questions and keep on telling you a bit about what I want to. Right. So, see this. We are in July right now. Okay. CAT is going to happen in November. MAHCET is going to happen in August. Yes. Then after that also you have exams. So you'll have SNAP in January, for example, IFT in December. Okay, some of you might be taking exams like MAHCET. Somebody might be taking CMAT next year. So that's why I've included 2023 also. So you have already populated your calendar as far as, let's say, practicing what you'll be practicing every day is concerned, right? 2 RCs every day. Okay, so in a week, let's say I'll practice Parajumbles twice a week. So that means at least 10 Parajumble questions in a week I'll be doing, 5 in each sitting. So that way, design your schedule area wise. Once you've done it, it is also important that you incorporate your mocks. You incorporate your mocks in that calendar, right? Why are mocks important? Students tell me, we haven't finished our syllabus. How can we think of taking mocks before we've done our syllabus? We haven't even covered all the topics in quant, so how can I take a mock? No, taking mocks is something that's simultaneous in an entrance exam. Okay, so for instance, right now, so July, August. In July, August, I do expect you, if you're preparing for CAT, to have at least three mocks, let's say in July, 4 mocks in August. I expect you to take these many number of mocks in July, August. No matter how much you've covered quant, no matter how much you've practiced for VARC, because your learning happens through mocks also. Why? They are going to simulate the exam situation for you. An entrance exam is not just about the syllabus, covering the syllabus. You have to learn how to sit for 2 to 3 hours. You have to learn what your strategy is going to be, which questions you're going to attempt first, which later, what is your strength, what works for you in the exam, right? Questions first, RC first. How will you evolve this strategy? Through mocks. Also, when you analyze them, you realize what you need to work on. Okay, do you panic because of a time constraint? Do you not? So it helps you to improve incrementally. With each mock, you see an improvement in your scores, provided you analyze them well. And for some mocks, the improvement might not happen. It basically takes this shape that, Your mark scores initially go down, and then once you start analyzing, you pinpoint your problems, then they go up. Right? Okay. Then populate your calendar with mocks, right? And for this, a very useful session that you can watch, it's there on our YouTube channel, number of mocks required to ace MBA entrance exam. See, because I don't know which all exams you are taking. For everyone, they could be different. Watch this session and this will help you realize how many mocks you have to take in which all months, so you can populate your calendar with those mocks at various intervals as you want to. So this helps make things organized, quantified, okay, and I think that's very important. So far so good, I hope. Now let's have a look at your questions again, right? Solving as many as I can at intervals. So should we look question? Okay. Yes, I think it helps. It helps if you look at the question stems first. Why? Because you are able to identify the direct questions now, and then when you go to the RC passage, when you read the RC passage, the moment you spot that okay, the answer for that direct question comes from this paragraph, you'll read it more carefully. You would have figured out the answer. And God forbid, if in the exam you don't have the time to attempt the complete RC, reading the question stem first will help you to select the direct ones and at least attempt them and maximize your score. Right? Okay. Pranjal, as I noted down on the slide, you have vocabulary, grammar, and logic. These are the other three areas apart from RC. Right? Sunil, I can't predict that. I don't expect any major changes, but again, I don't want to make any predictions also. Right? Grammar is poor, not getting the right way to solve the question. So, Anand, are the concepts clear to you? Is it the question solving that's posing a problem, or is it that you don't know the underlying concept? So, if you don't know the underlying concept, no, then there are. I mean, again, I took certain sessions topic wise also. So for nouns there was a session, for pronouns there was a session. So why don't you watch those sessions? They'll help you for topics, okay, and then start solving the question. And from each question, learn. Let's say you don't know that concept, you learned it through the question, note it down somewhere. Okay, this was the concept involved. This is what I missed on. I think that reduces subsequent errors, right? Okay. Positive vibes, you'll have to check it. Just download the BYJU'S exam prep app and you'll be able to find if there are any free tests. Okay. Absolutely, Pranita. Mocks are required for MAHCET. At least 6 mocks I'll recommend. That's the least number. Okay. And I'm assuming that you're preparing for other exams also. That's why I'm saying 6. Otherwise, the number goes higher if it's just MAHCET. Right? So we do need mocks for MAHCET also. Okay. In August, yes. I think you can take 2 to 3 mocks in August. 2 to 3. Not more than that, I would suggest. Okay. Not more than that, right? Nothing, let's say 5 days before the exam. I don't really recommend taking any mocks 5 days before the exam, right? So whatever you have to take, just take it before. So I think 20th August tak, ya usse bhi pehle tak, you have to finish taking all your mocks, right? So 2, I think, will suffice if you've taken some already. All right. So I'm coming to specific areas. Don't worry about it. So there we'll talk about speed reading also. We'll talk about synonym antonyms also. I hope this is clear to you that how a calendar approach, area wise, mock wise, that is going to help you. Because if you're taking, let's say, CAT also, and then you're taking ZAT also, right? So let's say in November CAT happens, and then in January ZAT is going to happen. So of course you'll have to take some ZAT mocks also in November. While you can take quite a few of them in December, okay, and a couple of them in January, you'll have to take some in November also, okay, probably some in October also, in case you find ZAT to be particularly difficult. So a total of 6 to 8 mocks spread across 3 to 4 months. That's why this calendar approach is going to help. Okay. All right. Now, Frequency of mocks. Which paper, Vicky? You are talking about MHCT. So we're already in July. I think in July you should have taken 4, right? And in August, as I said, 2 to 3 maximum. Okay. And you can, of course, if you are taking 4, it can be 1 every week. Definitely. All right. So Vishal, I hope to do justice to your dependence, right? Okay. Critical reasoning. Okay, I practice a lot of questions, but it's still taking a lot of time. Should I restructure my strategy? Sanil, keep those questions for the end then. Okay, attempt vocabulary first, grammar first. If you are speedier at Parajumbles as compared to critical reasoning, definitely go for Parajumbles first, then RCs, and then you can keep critical reasoning for the end. Okay, if it's taking a lot of time for you. Now, previous year papers, very important to solve them, because see, they'll serve as an additional resource also, right? A lot of you keep on asking me what are the sources from where we can practice. Plus, previous year papers give you the actual difficulty level idea. Okay, if they give you an idea of what is the actual difficulty level of various areas. Accordingly, you can make changes to your calendar. Okay, this is the area that I think I'm weak at as per my solving of this previous year paper. So let me just practice more of this, right? So that's how they shape your preparation. And they are some good sources for practice, particularly, let's say, for an exam like that. The questions are quite different there. Okay. And, the amount of practice, accurate, correct practice of the actual difficulty level that these previous year papers can provide, mocks may not be able to, because the questions are pretty different, pretty unique here. So they form a very good resource for practice. So in your calendar, when you are populating your calendar, make space for previous year papers as well. So area wise practice, mock practice, previous year practice, all these 3 together will help you to score 100%. Right? Okay, so Pranjal, 4 to 5 questions at the most. I'm not expecting more than that. Right? 4 to 5 questions. All right. So I hope you've been enjoying the session so far. There's more to it. Okay, there's more to it. And I'll be addressing all your queries. If you are, then yes, please go and press the like button. This really helps us. Your feedback is important and it helps us to increase our reach. Okay. And yes, you can always comment. You can always share it with your friends. Those options are open, right? How many previous year papers? So Chinta, first of all, most of the papers that are available in the public domain, they are memory based papers. So I think whichever you are able to find, do practice them. However, if you go back a lot of years, let's say you purchase a book and that has some very early MHCT papers, they will help you for area wise practice. For instance, vocabulary questions, but don't think of them as the pattern, because the pattern has changed over the years. So for pattern, for strategy practice, your recent papers. For area wise question practice, you can look at your earlier papers as well. Right? Thank you, Ankita. That means so much. Now let's address your queries. Yes. Because so far I've talked about questions, previous year papers, let's say mocks, they're all about questions. Then area wise practice also, you'll be solving questions. But what apart from solving questions? You just solving questions also doesn't suffice. Yes, you have to indulge in. Yes, what do you have to indulge in? The word that is always there on my lips, reading. Okay, focused reading has to happen. Okay, now all your problems related to reading. So, reading and writing also, they are 2 things that you improve at by doing them. If speed reading is a problem, no, that means perhaps you haven't read as much in your life so far, which is fine. Okay, which is fine. Right now, then start reading. Build a habit, build a reading habit. So, for instance, if let's say my speed is really slow, that's probably because I haven't read much. So I find thrillers very interesting. Okay, I love watching thriller movies. So then I'll start reading thrillers now, right? If let's say history interests me a lot, or let's say science interests me a lot, I'll pick up a book related to it and now I'll start reading it. I'll try to read with a sense of urgency. I'll make a reading routine. And trust me, if you do this even for 20-21 days, I'm not even asking for a month, you yourself will realize a difference. You'll notice a difference that you're able to reach much more smoothly. That smooth reading is all that is required. We are not asking you for some crazy reading speeds. No entrance exam of yours requires it. No MBA entrance exam requires a crazy reading speed. If you read at 250 words per minute, no, you'll be able to sail most of your exams. Okay, IFT just demands relatively higher, but in IFT you can be selective when it comes to RC passages also, when it comes to the number of questions also. So that also becomes a moot point then, right? And this is not much, 250 words per minute. Okay, so focused reading, and once you start reading, trust me, it's like a panacea. Panacea means, what does panacea mean? Yes, who will tell me? Vocabulary question right here. Something that is a cure for almost all your problems. Okay, a cure all is a panacea, right? So reading can become that panacea for you when it comes to various problems such as speed reading, such as comprehension, okay, such as retention. The more you read, the better you become at all these things, provided you make a routine out of it, and provided you don't read at leisure with a lot of breaks and distraction, right? Okay, now, so focused reading is important for vocabulary. Now you had questions related to vocabulary. What should you do for synonym antonyms? What should you do for synonym antonyms? See, if particularly you are asking for synonym antonyms, and if you are willing to do this, I think Barron's 800 list is an excellent source. Look for the list that has synonym antonyms also, at least the synonyms. Okay, there are lists. This list is available on the internet, I'm very sure, right? Go for it. 800 words, divide it. Let's say you're going to learn 15 words every day, whatever you're able to complete. So that will help you tremendously when it comes to synonym antonyms. Okay, so this is one way, and solving questions is the other way. Solving synonym antonym questions, you'll find so many of them over the internet. I have also taken some sessions dedicated to synonym antonyms only for MAHCET, so go for them. WordPar made easy, somebody mentioned it. Absolutely, again, for working on your vocabulary, for enhancing it, it's a great source. So those of you whose exams are, for instance, those who are preparing for CAT, please go for WordPar made easy. You still have time. You just need to dedicate 15 minutes every day to it. You can find out 15 minutes every day. I'm very sure the moment you wake up in the morning, you look at your phone for 15 minutes every day. Just substitute that time with learning vocabulary. Okay, you will find time. Okay, then any other query that was there related to vocabulary? I talked about fill in the blanks earlier and cloze test also. All right, all right. Okay. Idioms, yes. Somebody asked about idioms. For NMAT, let's say, I'm just taking some space here. For idioms, what can be some sources? So one thing is that there is no one dedicated source when it comes to idioms. Okay, the most basic source that I tell my students, Renan Martin has a chapter on idioms that has a list of approximately 250 idioms. Go for that. Apart from this, there is an app that I always recommend, Vocab 24. Again, you will add about 200-250 idioms from there. Recently, I've started listening to quite a few podcasts that sometimes educate me on idioms also. So on Spotify, a lot of podcasts are available for free, which teach you phrasal verbs. Right? I even recommended one of these, the English We Speak by BBC Radio. The English We Speak. Okay, go for these. So I think this should get you started with, and this should help you cover quite a few idioms out there. There are a lot of websites also. There are some apps that are dedicated to idioms and phrasal verbs. Again, it's all a matter of your will and consistency. You have no dearth of sources, trust me. The only dearth is of consistency, right? So these will help you for NMAT. And of course, get hold of whichever questions that you can, which are on the NMAT pattern. Okay, NMAT has their own official guide also. So from there, you will get a lot of questions of vocabulary, right? So need not worry about it. In fact, NMAT has in their official guide, no, they have a whole list of high frequency words. So once you get hold of that official guide, you need not worry about vocabulary as such, right? So if I've clarified vocabulary related concerns. Okay, okay. How to retain what you read? Okay. Then Barron's 800 for CET. Yes, for CET, yes, it will work because CET are synonym antonym questions, right? Vocabulary roots like pan and all. Just a second. I think I'm missing something. You're all okay, fine, fine. Okay. Sometimes after this, I'm reading your queries from here. After reading a few sentences, I'll have to circle back to the first sentence. This is called regression, Karan. Okay, in the world of reading, this problem is called regression. So you work on your regression how? Just think that whatever text you've already read, it has disappeared. You have just one chance to read it right. When we think this way, no, our mind automatically becomes more alert. Okay, so that's one way to avoid regression. You can actually actively hide that text once you've read it. Okay, and you can initially use a pointer. The pointer keeps you focused on the text and you pay more attention, you are more concentrated. So that way, that reduces regression. So pointer is there, using your hand to hide the text. These are some strategies that can work. Okay, pan all Barron's for vocabulary root words. There's this interesting website, Membean, for root words particularly. So just type Membean root tree list, okay, or root list, and it will appear if you want an etymological approach. So as I said, no dearth of sources. Okay. So Nitish, if you're telling me nahi aaya hai, if you're asking me, then also nahi aaya hai, right? It's a work in progress. I have scored 99.9 percentile in VARC CAT once, okay, and twice in ZAT, right? So it's a work in progress. Yes, I am also aiming for 100 percentile along with you guys. Then information while reading, how to retain information. So that again, let's say you read an article, right? You have to read every day. So after reading that article, okay, just close the newspaper in case you're reading from a physical newspaper. Just recall the points, the major points, the key points that you read. Recall the key points. See how many of them you're able to recall. Make this a habit for at least 2 articles every day. Gradually, you will realize that when you read with that focus, no, that later on I have to tell the key points to myself, you start remembering more points. Our effort should be that we are able to remember at least most of the key ideas, right? And also remember, okay, in the correct order. Okay, para 1 में ऐसे था, para 3 में ऐसे था, right? Because this locational retention is important. Ultimately, when you look at a direct question, you must be able to recall, no, oh, this answer lies in para 1, right? So when you do this for even 2 articles every day, again, do this for 20-21 days, you will see a difference. Right, you have to follow my prescriptions. Yes, English for Exuberance. Again, I like that podcast. So you can listen to that also. Okay. My accuracy is not increasing above 50%. Okay, okay. So you need to tell me which areas, okay, which in case there is a particular question type, okay, how much you've practiced. It's a product of all these variables, right? Okay, so I've talked about vocabulary, I've talked about reading, grammar, apart from, let's say, your question solving, okay, in grammar, solving questions is going to help you tremendously. Apart from that, again, in case you're targeting non-CAT exams after CAT, let's say your NMAT, SNAP, etc., for that, you can read Renan Martin, okay, and you will be able to complete it even if you read 5 pages every day. I calculated, I think in 60 odd days, you will be able to complete it. Okay. Do practice the fill in the blank questions that are given after every exercise. That's one way of improving at grammar. So every day you have to read. Every day you have to do something for your vocabulary. For grammar, if not every day, okay, if let's say you don't find time every day, at least once or twice a week, you have to devote time. And for verbal logic, you can just practice questions. Okay, so for Parajumbles, make a routine. Twice a week, I am going to solve some Parajumbles. So let's say 10 Parajumbles in total, right? 5 in one go, 5 in another go. This you need to do apart from solving questions, right? Okay. A very frequently asked question that I get. Thank you, Hussein. Yes. A very frequently asked question, what to read? Yes. So here are some sources. These could be some of your primary sources, and these are some of the other sources that I've listed, right? I can even add to this list The Atlantic is a great source. Scientific American. Okay. And in your primary sources, basically I didn't want to overwhelm you, that's why I made these as your primary sources. You can add one more, Arts and Letters Daily. Arts and Letters Daily, right? So 5 sources that form your major sources, right? Okay. Can we start off reading slow? Yes, Karan, absolutely. In fact, initially when you start reading, your speed is in the comfort zone area, which might be slow for some people, and it's fine because you are also working on your comprehension simultaneously, isn't it? So I think what you can do is that when you read your articles, let's say you picked up an article from the NYT, there you can be relatively slow. And when you read a book, okay, so let's say in the morning you read articles, at night you read a fiction or non-fiction book, depending on your interest. So if you're reading, let's say, a thriller, there you can choose to be relatively fast. So depending on the kind of material that you're reading, you can choose to be relatively slow or relatively fast, right? Okay, it becomes easy. Mark the important points. Yes, Pranjal. So you have to get used to reading from screen. Okay, no substitute to it. No substitute to it. Time magazine. I'm talking about Time magazine. Okay. Some of these are free. Some of these have some articles as free. So just read whatever is free. Okay. Now, just a second. Let me just quickly check if there's some major question that I haven't answered. Okay, I answered this. If we take 2 mocks per week as no classes are scheduled. Yes, Gaurav, absolutely. You can do that. 2 mocks per week, right? Now, these 2 mocks could be from different exams in case you're preparing for different exams. So, see which all exams are near. Accordingly, build a schedule for yourself and take those mocks. Absolutely. Works. Right? Okay. Then, if possible, on important. Oh, I have been taking all these sessions. We've been having so many MAHCET sessions, no, in the crash course. Okay, so if you just go to BYJU'S YouTube channel, this BYJU'S Exam Prep MBA YouTube channel, go to videos, and all the sessions that I've taken for MAHCET will also appear there, right? इस फोन का क्या करें विकी इस फोन को लॉक कर दो there are so many apps that actually block access to your phone for 3-4 hours. Okay, so make use of those apps. They really increase your productivity. Okay, how to approach parajumbles of unfamiliar topics. In such a case, it seems difficult to find a clue. An important question, Sanil. So, parajumbles, if I'm talking about, let's say, CET particularly, right, and I'm talking about MCQ parajumbles, or if basically all the non-CAT exams you get MCQ parajumbles. So, you know what I do? Let's say in an IFT, okay, or in an MHCT, I look at the sentences of the parajumble. So let's say I read the first sentence and I usually pick up the parajumble that I like the most. I attempt that first. So that's something that I do just to solve the easy ones first. Now, in case you don't do that, one is you can try that. And secondly, when you feel that the topic is very unfamiliar, okay, then don't get caught up in all the details, in all the words. Try to unpackage the meaning of a complex sentence as you read it. try to simplify it, visualize it as you read it, and no matter how much you're able to understand, just understand that and keep hunting for connectors, grammar based clues, etc. So that's what rescues me when I look at an unfamiliar parajumble. I try to unpackage the sentence. Okay, broadly, roughly, this is what is being talked about. Fine. And yes, here's a grammar based clue. Probably they belong together. Then look at your options and eliminate. So that's your best bet when you come across unfamiliar topics and difficult language both combined. Right? Just looking for clues, unpackaging the meaning, broadly understanding it, roughly understanding it, and finally eliminate. And hopefully, through calculated guess, you'll be able to get them right. Okay, but I would suggest that go for the easier ones first, the familiar ones first, they save time. All right. Casually first. It may work initially, but then it should not become a habit. It's a crutch that you have to leave ultimately, because if you get this habit, no, if you adopt this habit of reading things twice, this can actually be counterproductive in the exam because you won't get that amount of time to read an RC passage twice. So if you're using it as a crutch initially, it's fine, absolutely, because some text is complicated. Sometimes, if I'm reading some complex philosophy, I also read it twice. Okay, but ultimately, the idea is that we have to wean out this habit, right? Okay. So, Kinjal, the main idea is all those multiple key ideas combined. Okay. The common thread running through all these key ideas is your main idea. Okay. Now, in the exam, just the exam day strategy, what you have to do in the exam as well as in your mocks, please first decide the order of your questions, no matter if it's an IIFT, if it's an NMAT, if it's a ZAT. Okay, so for CAT, order of questions, I think you should go for RCs first. Some students, however, don't feel very confident with starting with RCs, so they go for some Parajumbles or para-summary questions first. See what works for you. Decide the order of questions. Devote 2 to 3 mocks to it. For CET, my recommendation will definitely be vocab grammar first and then RCs. Okay, RCs and Parajumbles, you can decide your order depending on what you're more comfortable with. Right, but vocabulary grammar definitely first. So first decide on the order of your question. In passages, because all your exams have RC passages, please prioritize them. Don't just start attempting the very first passage that you see. Works for any exam out there. Question selection, very important again. Go for the easy questions first. Okay, go for the easy questions first, always, right? So in an RC passage also, if let's say you have 5 questions, for example, now you read the first question, it appeared to be a little tricky, right? You have been able to narrow down to 2 options, but you're stuck here after that. Don't remain stuck. Just unstuck yourself and go to the second question. Maybe mark it for review. Okay, mark it for review. Mark, let's say B here if you're stuck between B and C, and then mark it for review. Second is easy, attempt this. Third easy, attempt this. In fourth, the same thing. Again, mark one option out of the 2 in which you're confused, mark it for review. Come to it in a second round. Okay, come to these in a second round later on. You have made a calculated guess. You've already made a calculated guess based on your understanding. You can come to these in a second round. Don't get stuck. That's my point. If out of these 2, you've narrowed down to 2, जिसका भी थोड़ा सा भी higher probability लग रहा है, mark करो, proceed करो. Focus on the 3 easy questions out of the 5 total questions, rather than those 2 difficult questions. Right? Okay. And lastly, okay, this is something that I always say in all my sessions. Eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. That is what works in entrance exams. Okay, even if an inference question is asked from you, they don't literally want you to conclude without reading the options. Okay, they don't want your personal opinions. They don't want your external knowledge. They are just asking you what is the best out of the lot. That's it. So always eliminate. Okay. Don't get stuck. As I told you, your efficiency matters. Right? So for difficult questions, make calculated guesses, proceed. In case there is negative marking in the exam, mark it for review, proceed. And then once you've attempted all your easy questions, you should be left with 4 to 5 minutes, okay, or some minutes at least. In that, you can decide whether you're going to attempt these, whether you're going to mark something at all or not. Right? Hope this makes sense. VARC sectional for CET. Okay. All right. Skip some, keep for later. This would help us refine the strategy. Okay, Vicky, I'll suggest this to our team. Actually, the reason it becomes difficult is because of the speed of solving for each student varies. Okay. So at best, what I'll be able to do is demonstrate to you that how I solve it, but I'll not be able to then wait for you all to solve it. So I don't know how much it will help you to attend that session in that case, right? So how to guess if we don't know? A good question, Hussain. See, in synonym antonyms, there are a couple of things that can help you. Let's say I don't know the exact meaning of the word panacea, the word that I gave you. But let's say I have heard it in relatively positive context. I have not heard it in a negative context, either positive or neutral. Now I am asked the synonym of panacea, right? I am asked the synonym of it. Okay, there is a word there. Let's say I was about to write nostrum, but that will be a difficult word. Something that's let's say pretentious. Okay, let's take the word pretentious. I was looking for a synonym. I was thinking of a synonym for fake. Now you know that a pretentious person is somebody who pretends, who fakes, right? And you've heard panacea in positive context or in neutral context. So definitely this will not be a synonym. Another way to eliminate could be another way. This works in some questions, does not work in others. That's why I'm suggesting this later on. Panacea is a noun. In case you know that you've heard it being referred to as something, the name of a thing. Whereas pretentious is an adjective. So this also makes it a little dicey that this is going to be the answer. So check for the connotation. This is called connotation, the image associated with the word, positive, negative, neutral. Right. Check for grammar. Another effective way, group. For instance, if you see that there are two words with very similar meanings here, just giving these as examples, okay, don't relate them to the question. Belligerent and bellicose. Very similar words, they mean the exact same thing. Then probably neither of them is the answer. So group like this. If two words are extremely similar, they're synonymous, then probably neither of them is the answer. Right? If you're looking for synonym and three antonyms of panacea are given, then automatically you know that the one that remains is the answer. So group, eliminate, make use of the connotation of the word and sometimes grammar. This will help you in your synonym antonyms. Right? Okay then, so these were some 4 tips from my end for exam strategy: order of questions, prioritization, question selection and elimination and efficiency. I hope with this I have given you an idea of how to prepare. Saral sir conducted a wonderful session yesterday in which he gave you a week by week schedule for your MAHCET preparation. You can refer to that. Okay, for how many mocks you should take for each exam, again I've suggested a YouTube session to you, number of mocks to ace MBA entrance exam. You can watch that. Right? And I hope this gave you some sense as to how you have to prepare using a calendar, using a schedule, right? So I will see you tomorrow, and right at 3 p.m. today also, we have a CAT 2019 slot 1 session, okay, where I'll be solving a couple of passages from the slot 1 paper, right? So in case some of you want to learn from that, attend it, you can. Okay, so do like the session, do share it with your friends. And this is our CAT 22 comprehensive program with a lot of material, something that you keep asking about. And yes, this is how we can stay connected, and you can follow us on social media as well. Okay, I hope this helped you. Yes, busy Saturdays, but I have an off on Monday, so that compensates. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Welcome all of you. Which mock test, KK? My opinions are mocks are good, but if you take free mocks, let's say you take free mocks from any particular channel, any particular place, medium, then you should check the quality of those mocks, right? And then only take them. How many mocks for MAHCET? At least 6. Okay, provided you're taking other exams also, because I'm taking into account that you'll be practicing for that. अदरवाइज 8 to 9 एटलीस्ट. ओके, सो 8 9 वो ऑटोमेटिकली इंक्रीज कर लो, 9 कर लो फिर. ओके, वेलकम, बाय.